You may be wondering, Mike, just how in the world do you know that's a girl and not a boy? Well, I'm recognizing her based on her coat color and the features of her face. I can't see, any genitalia, anything that would determine a male from a female. So many of these bears I recognize just because they've been here for several years, so I can see them, on a yearly basis. And once you start looking at all these animals, they all have unique physical characteristics that separate them from one another. Just like staring at a group of people. At first it may be hard to tell people apart, but then you can easily see that everyone has some unique traits. And this adult female here, again, I'm just recognizing her from her face and her coat. This is number 505. She was first identified as an adult female just a couple of years ago. She is also a bear that will fish the lip of the falls, and we saw that a lot last year from her. She'll sometimes steal fish, too. So maybe if more salmon start jumping tonight, we may see her visit the lip of the falls. But right now she's patrolling the area downstream. This area that we're looking at right down here is called the Riffles. And this is an area where a lot of bears that maybe can't occupy fishing spots at Brooks Falls will go to fish. And there's a couple of other bears that are down there right now. Late last week, when he was really sometimes just stripping the part of the skin off of the salmon and leaving the rest behind because he was just so full. I often wonder whether or not bears are just genetically programmed to consume themselves almost to the point of sickness when food is abundant. Because they live in a feast or famine world. Hunger is very much a part of their world. Of course, they're hibernating for 6 months, maybe more sometimes. Surviving without access to food and water. They don't eat, they don't drink, they don't urinate, and they don't defecate when they're in there. They're probably sitting in a tree watching that bear eat, waiting for any leftovers. Quite often those leftovers are quickly consumed by the gulls that we have here. A couple different species, glaucous-wing and mew gull. But the bald eagles are very conspicuous too. The numbers of eagles increase quite substantially when bears are fishing for salmon. Salmon are a pretty big catch for a bald eagle. Again, the average salmon here weighs about 4 to 7 pounds. And if you're a bald eagle that weighs less than that, then it's going to be hard to catch a live salmon and bring that struggling fish back to a spot where you can consume it. So the bald eagles often look for bears to leave parts of salmon in the river where they can pick it up. There's probably a half dozen to 10 nests within a 5-mile radius of Brooks River. So we see a lot of adult phenomenon. The spectacle that we're watching right here just wouldn't happen. Bears would not fish at this waterfall. There would not be enough fish in the stream to grab their attention. So this whole scene that we have right now, the gulls, the eagle, the bears that we have, is all dependent. Our side, number 755. Some bears are big enough to sort of stand their ground and eat the fish right where they caught it. Of course, those fish are very slippery. They're struggling to survive. They want to escape. They don't want to get eaten alive. So the bears will often move into a position where they can eat that fish just a little bit easier. Sometimes they'll move into a place where they feel more secure. Fish stealing is something that you'll see a lot of bears do. In fact, the one, number 83, the one closest to us eating the fish, is a known fish stealer. We've seen him do that many times over the past week. And number 747 just caught another fish too. So during the broadcast here, let's take a moment to bring it to the ecosystem. And the gull that ended up getting the salmon, maybe the eagle was going to swoop down and try to get another piece from that. The watershed that I speak of is the Naknek River watershed. It flows into Bristol Bay in the Bering Sea. Salmon that get here have to swim about 60 miles. May take them a couple of days or more to reach this spot. And not all the fish that swim up Naknek River will go here. Many of them will go other areas, and here comes the eagle again, because the gull couldn't quite get the rest of that fish head down in the down its gullet, so the eagle was able to swoop in once that gull had to regurgitate it. So not only is there, of course, a drama going on with the bears competing with one another, we have all these birds that are competing too, competing for the rich food resources that the salmon start fishing at the falls. He was actually sleeping on the far bank for a long while. And this is now number 89 backpack. He's an adult male, 10 years old. He was a cub that was fairly conspicuous along Brooks River here. My first summer here, actually in 2007, he walked throughout much of the summer with a very severe limp. And we received a lot of questions from people here. This is pre-webcam days, of course. A lot of people here were very concerned for his welfare. I mean, he was this adorable looking cub. And he got a little close to 410 there, and she's going to back him off. 410 says, "This is my fishing spot." 89 says, "I want to fish here too." Maybe they've come to a little bit of I wouldn't call that a peace agreement. Maybe it's more of a Cold War that's going on. I'm not sure if 89 is going to back off or not, but he'll just move away just a couple of steps. But he likes to fish that spot too. But his is just a story of, again, toughness and resiliency. He was a very cute cub, but he was limping fairly severely. And a lot of people, including myself, didn't give him really didn't really think that he would survive the summer. But this is a bear that taught me a lesson on just how tough and resilient these animals are. Even though he was limping, and I don't know if he had a broken leg or something else was wrong with this leg, we were never able to determine that. He was able to really persevere through that. His mother took good care of him, kept him well fed. He was weaned the next year. We saw him running around as a small 2.5-year-old bear. Now here he is today, fishing as an adult at Brooks Falls, living the life of a healthy wild bear. The park did receive a lot of comments about him. A lot of rangers, including myself, out at the river. When people saw him, they were, of course, very concerned for his welfare when he was a cub. We'd be asked questions like, is he going to be okay? And of course, I didn't know. We also, some people said a wide range of things. They said we should help it. Some people said, of course, we should leave it alone. The people who wanted us to help it, thought we should maybe capture it and take it to a rehab center or send it to a zoo. Other people thought we should euthanize it and put him out of his misery as they saw. But we didn't do any of those things. We let nature take its course. And sometimes that doesn't end well for the bear. Sometimes they do succumb to injuries, but number 89 was resilient. He was tough, and he made it through that injury, and now, again, he's living the life of a wild, healthy bear. And almost every time I see him, I think about that story. Is he destined to, become one of the more dominant bears at Brooks Falls? I don't really know. But he's getting bigger with each year, able to hold his position just that much easier. And that's one of those stories that I want to follow over the next several years. So he just moved into number 83's position. 83 just caught a fish and is eating it. 89 likes to fish that spot near the log too. So let's take a look and see if 89 wants to try to hold his position against 83. It looks like he thought about it. You can see him backing away a little bit slowly. So maybe he's going to think twice of that. 83 will probably try to move back into that spot once he's done with his salmon. So 89, maybe without a fishing spot right now, but that might not be the case